All right, cool. We're back.
We're back, yeah.
Got a lot to
Late.
talk about, man. Got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just kick it off with the elephant in the room. Final Fantasy VII Remake. So, you finished it, right?
I have finished the game. I finished it about 4 days ago.
I got it late, so I'm still playing through it. I'm trying to savor it. And you and I have had many discussions about. So maybe the best way to start is why don't you talk about your impressions of the game, and then I'll chime in.
Yeah, so I was initially quite skeptical of the game when it was announced, mostly because I kind of dislike the way how the compilation stuff has been handled. Like we were talking about this, like not even we've been talking about this over the course of several years, really. I really hate the way how Cloud has been handled. Since like it's understandable why he's that way in like Advent Children, where he's kind of like all emo and he's like this, he's just blonde Sasuke. Like I get why he's like that in Advent Children. The problem is that his character development after 7, like that's not Cloud. Like Cloud is this goof. Like he's a dork.
Well, one might argue in that respect that I think we've also talked about this. It's Cloud is a goof at the end of FF7 when he gets his memories back.
Yeah,
but he's a mopey prick before that. And as we've discussed, when we see him in Advent Children, the entire world is like, has gone to shit.
Yeah, I know. Like
he's guilty and all that.
But my point is that doesn't mean he has to be that in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Oh, fair.
And he doesn't, like, that's not Cloud. Like, whenever you see him depicted in other media, he's not even like the spoilers for a 23-year-old game, by the way. He's not this like soldier persona that he's like constructed from Zack and what he perceives like a soldier to be. Like no. For some reason, he's just this mopey dude. And I would say that's like I get it. That's what Nomura wants the character to be now, but like, come on, that's not Cloud. I mean, it's in the same way how Aerith kind of got like, that character has been changed in weird ways as well. Like, I didn't realize like playing this.
I would actually say that Aerith, whatever, her portrayal has been rather consistent throughout the compilation. She introduced as this kind of maybe not happy-go-lucky but optimistic, kind of slightly naive girl, but not really optimistic girl, like compassionate, kind, caring, and
I wouldn't even say she's naive. That's not the
that was the wrong word, but like she believes in better, and basically it doesn't align with the world that she lives in. And ultimately, in trying to make the world a better place, she ends up dying for it. But that's another thing. But I think that's been her portrayal throughout the entire compilation.
But that's
now, I can't. Yeah, I can't speak for FF. I can't speak for what's his name, Kingdom Hearts. But in Crisis Core, which is arguably her biggest appearance outside of the main game, whenever she interacts with Zack, if you've played FF7, you feel like she's just talking to Cloud. Which is important in its own way, but that's for another day.
See, I've not played Crisis Core.
In Crisis Core, Aerith is you meet her like obviously about 5-10 years before FF7, and she's pretty much the same person.
Right.
Like I'm fairly certain. Don't quote me on this, but like she meets Zack in a similar way. Like Zack is protecting her for something, and as we know, Zack ends up being her boyfriend, and through that narrative lens, we see more of Aerith's character in Crisis Core. But yeah, like I don't know about Kingdom Hearts. But
Kingdom Hearts, they're like flanderized versions of the characters. Like it's really strange.
Like, well, Leon, right? Like
Yeah, Squall Squall in Kingdom Hearts is nothing like Squall in FF8. From what I can gather, like I think that every character in FF8 is this weird cardboard cutout, like non-human.
Look, if we start talking about FF7,
we'll be here for just slagging off this game.
I despise that game. Maybe we'll talk about it another day.
But yeah, like my point was I feel like that this game hasn't been tainted by that. in terms of the characterizations of the characters, it's not been tainted by any of that compilation stuff, or like this kind of weird like, here is this what people think Cloud is, as opposed to what Cloud was like in the original game, if that makes sense. Like a weird kind of meta around the character.
So there's characterization. Other things about the game, go on.
I think that the overall pacing of the game is all over the place, though.
Oh yes,
I think
like I actually timed it last night. It's interesting. I got to Sector 5, and it's quite well known now that there are fetch quests in this game, but there are also side quests, and I'll get to that distinction in a bit. But anyway, the side quests you do in Sector 5 take about an hour or hour and a half, depending on if you do them all, about an hour and a half.
Yeah,
and they have
the side quests, they have
no real purpose like whatsoever. They don't really do a lot to show Cloud's character or expand his relationship with Aerith. They're pretty much just there to pad, and I feel that a lot in this game. There is a lot of padding, but anyway, back to the quest.
Which kind of I don't want to. I hate padding in games, and I don't necessarily want to defend this, but if they really wanted to make Midgar like this huge portion of the game, which it's not in the original game, like it's huge in the sense that it's a huge portion of the story and it's incredibly important, but gameplay wise it's not that much. Like it's arguably like at most a fifth of the game in a playthrough where you're not doing anything and you've only played it. This is your first playthrough. I've been replaying FF7 after I finished the remake. It took me 4 hours to get out of Midgar, and that was me playing at like a leisurely pace. I wasn't like going for it.
I want to talk a bit more about what I mentioned, the difference between fetch quests and side quests. Now, for me, a side quest is an optional kind of chain of events, usually a mission in a JRPG where you go out of your way to do something, and you get a reward that's usually decent or better. But however, you still get to play the game. You still got to play the game when you're doing these side quests. So there's a side quest in the slums, which spoilers, but it's not good. Like, yeah, spoilers, but whatever. Where you basically are trying to find this Sector 5 Robin Hood, and you're running around talking to people, which isn't very hard, by the way, because quest markers. So that's that. But what the quest culminates in is you fight like a big mini boss, and that in itself was cool. And when you finish the quest, the reward you get is good. Now, this is reminiscent of other side quests in Final Fantasy games, where you do a side quest, you get something cool, and I help you out. That was great. I had no problem with that. Maybe the quest marker thing. Then you have what I call fetch quests, which you're not playing the game. You're just following a narrative structure without any player agency. So in the example I just gave, you fight a boss. You have a battle. You're playing Final Fantasy. There's another quest, and in fact, it's the first quest they give you, where you literally run around town looking for 5 kids.
Yeah,
and I'm like, what part of this is meant to be fun?
And it doesn't help where that specific area, has a point. In Sector 5 where you have the the kids hideout.
Oh fuck!
Where you have to go through this cranny.
Let's talk about that.
For the first few times that happened, I was like, okay, this is cool. They're trying to go for this narrative, Uncharted, Last of Us. Look at our animation. But then they did it for 100 times. Now I think there's a reason why that's like that. I could get into that. I think it's because of the consoles.
Yeah, let's get into it.
This game, just issues. We've reached a point in this generation where they are very clearly being held back by the technology.
Textures don't load.
The textures don't load properly.
And why don't we get to the main point that I was going to get to? That this game really, really limits player choice and player agency. And let me explain that a bit.
Okay.
Because they're limited by the hardware, they have to do these stupid things like
Yeah.
forced slow walking,
So that the game can load and stuff
the game
like
can
that.
load, and then in that hideout area, because that hideout area leads to an entire different part of the game.
Yeah.
Like they're loading screens, but that happens all the fucking time, and it's really fucking annoying. Like
it sucks as well because the quality of the assets are so high, and like I'm convinced that those textures are just not being loaded properly. This is a problem with Unreal.
I will never ever fault this game for its visual, art, and music assets.
Yeah, when this game looks good and like wants to look good, I think it's probably one of the best looking games ever made.
However, it is really, really held back by being on the PS4. And when I'm playing it, I just wonder, like, look, you kept me waiting for 23 years, right? I would have happily waited like 2 more. Just, you know. Anyway,
just let me play the game on my PC. Don't make me wait a year.
This game has so many technical issues that get in the way, for me, of it being a good game. Like, I could list loads, but we've got the example I gave you just now. We've got the forced slow walking, and then Jesus Christ. So even in areas where and this is not a technical issue actually, and this is why I'm getting into it. Even in areas the game is clearly loaded. The game has been loaded, and the area I'm talking about now is Aerith's house. Yeah. Bit of background.
I think you're underestimating like how long it can take the PS4 to load stuff. They are probably, especially in an area like Aerith's house where like there's so much stuff going on. Like
this isn't even about loading. Like, hold up. Like when I first got to Aerith's house in the original game, I was like, holy shit. Like this is like a radiant, verdant paradise compared to Midgard. I loved it. And so I was looking forward in the remake to, to explore it, right?
Yeah.
So what did I do? I get to Aerith's house. The game's like, hey, like, go inside her home. And I'm like, no, I want to look around the area. I want to have some fun.
Well, and it forced you to do that.
Yeah, and just hear me out.
It does do that.
And then it was like, oh, no, warning, you've got to go to Aerith's home. Like, no, I just want to explore, man. Like, I'll go to her home when it's time. And then the common counter argument is, yeah, but like loading times. But that's bullshit, because I got to Wall Market, and for the first time in this game, I got to Wall Market, and I could like just look around. The prompt when you get to Wall Market is, hey, like go talk to people to find out about Tifa. Fuck that. I want to explore Wall Market. I want to go see the item shop that has a minigun in it. I want to go, see the honeybee in. And the game let me do that. And for the first time, I felt, wow, thanks, game. You're letting me explore. But there are so many times in this game where it just won't let you. It's like, no, you got to go back and do this first. Like, again, so when you get back to the side quest area, so when you go to Aerith's home and when you come back out to do side quests, the game's like, hey, talk to the orphanage people. We know we know the Sector 5 slum area has been loaded, right? Like we just know, and it still makes me go talk to these fucking orphan kids. Like I don't. Yeah,
you don't know like how these assets are being loaded. Like you don't know how much RAM these assets are taking. Like there's going to be all kinds of like cuts made to make sure that these things render. Like it's probably got some of the most aggressive culling you'll find on a game. Like I bet if you like hack the game and you pull the camera out, it'll just be culling constantly. Like
okay.
The reason why like I'm saying that, I'm making excuses for these like small walking segments and stuff is probably because it's very clearly a hardware issue. Yeah. And with the Wall Market stuff, a lot of those assets are lower quality than Aerith's house. Like they just are.
I will admit, you're right. I was just getting angry. I will admit, like these are hardware issues, and I get that. So let me rephrase my point. My point is that this game is frequently held back by the limitations of its hardware.
For sure. Like you, there are points later on in this game that I look at and I think, you guys very clearly wanted this to look better because it's a huge part of this scene, but it just doesn't because you can't. Because the problem is they wanted to make sure that the character models as well, like, there are points in that game where it switches from real time to CG, and I couldn't tell. The only way I could tell was that Cloud's sword changed, because obviously they rendered it with the Buster sword in the CG cutscenes.
I can tell because the lip sync in so I'm playing it in Japanese. The lip sync in Japanese, like for you, it's not perfect anyway because it's in English, but the lip sync in Japanese isn't perfect. So I can tell during both sequences. Yeah. So, and this, yeah. So yeah, hardware is keeping this game from realizing its full potential. But as much as I hate to say it, that it's a valid excuse, but it's an excuse nonetheless. Like,
I would say it's a perfect excuse because there are games where that have been held back by hardware. Games that can't tell the stories or like convey what they want to, being held back by hardware is a perfectly valid excuse. Yeah. Look at all of these PS4 games that you know, like the typical PS4 game that is like over the shoulder, you know, crazy like cinematics. But
are you talking about Uncharted?
I'm talking about that's the thing. I was talking about God of War. Like God of War, which had like them being that committed to having no loading screens when half of the game is a loading screen because you're like walking from an area to another area. It's like, mate, what are you doing? Or like Last of Us, where the game forces you to pick up planks for like 10 hours because it needs to pad itself out because the console literally can't load the next area, and it takes like 3 minutes to load because it's loading it from like a 5,400 RPM hard drive. Like there's
okay, this is like a double-edged sword, and we should probably stop talking about FF7 after this, but you mentioned to me before this game is very fan servicey.
Yes.
And I love that. I love it. That's great.
The points where it hits, it does hit really, really well. Like it just does.
I like seeing shit that I've seen before. It's like, oh, you know, you care about me as well as new fans. Great. However, even in those times when I'm really pleased by fan service, the game inevitably does something to fuck it up. Like the point I'm talking about is the point before you get to Wall Market. You're going through this big underground passage, and for those of you who played the original game, you remember that when you get from the Sector 5 slums to Wall Market, you have to go through like a middle area, the construction yard, which is just one screen in the original game. And in that area, there's like this weird, like this robot arm, like in the original game.
Okay, yeah, arm. I know what you're talking about.
And I was like, yeah, you know, I literally said out loud as I was going to that area, I was like, oh, I really hope they got the robot arm. And then I swear down, I get into the area and I'm like, yeah, they kept the robot arm, and I was so happy, you know. And then you've got that little mini game with the, you know, we used the arm to lift shit, and I was like, oh, this is cool, man. Like they're giving a purpose, you know. It's a tongue in cheek. Hey, we know you guys are wondering what the arm was for, you know. It's for something, and that was great, and I loved it the first time, yeah. And then it happened again and again. Like, I think there's like 2 more times.
Yeah, and it's not even. I spent a good 30 minutes on that puzzle. I don't know if I was a small brain there or not, but it was like, just very...
It's not even about the puzzle. It was just about the tediousness. Like,
yeah, it was very tedious.
The speed at which the arm moves is just painstakingly slow. And this is... also, when you're lifting Aerith, you know, because of they've got to animate it, it takes time for it to get on and get off and get on and get off. It was just a chore.
Yeah, it was very
It was a chore. And it's like... There's a potential argument. Oh, they needed like loading time, but
no, that's not that. Right? That I'm fairly sure that's probably just an oversight on their part. And they probably put that in, and it was like, look, it's the arm. This is why it's here. But like,
I can see it once and not have to see it again. I don't need to see it like 4 times. Okay.
They did that multiple times throughout the game, though. Like the assembling the airbuster like sequence.
Oh my fucking!
Like that was cool. Like twice, and then they did it like 4 times, and I was
for me that was pointless. I was like, oh, what is the point? Just let me fight the airbuster, man. And you know what? It doesn't even fucking matter, okay?
It doesn't.
Because his biggest fucking threat attack is the tank buster. Okay, I swear I'll stop talking about it after this. I'll stop talking about FF7 after this point. But the game's AI is fucking horrible. Okay,
yeah.
It's got this tank buster move which shoots a massive fucking laser in one direction.
Did your party members not move out of the way?
Well, hear me out, right? And you're meant to dodge it, right, and move out of the way. I fucking swear down twice. My party members just stood in it and died.
See,
right?
I never had an issue with the AI like actually dodging stuff. So like,
Like,
I remember what you're talking about, where it goes in the middle of the walkway, right?
no, not there. Like they avoided it perfectly there. It's when the airbuster is like near you and does like a fucking power move, including
Oh,
the tank buster.
like a AOE attack where it's
Yeah,
like
well, there's that, but also when you use the tank buster when it's on the walkway, like in the long section of the T, if you know what I mean, like the way you came. When it's there, it uses tank buster, and the AI dodges that flawlessly.
Yeah.
When it's fucking flying around like
Yeah.
outside the platform during that segment, the AI just for me did not block. Well, blocking wouldn't help. They did not dodge. Okay, that pissed me off, and that happened so many times in this game. Like, you know, this massive robot will do some hammer attack, and the guy will just like get hit by it. But again, I promised I'll stop talking about it after this. But like, as a verdict, when this game works, it works really well, and I enjoy it, and I really love it.
I agree. Yeah, like that's a good way to put it. When it works, so like this game. Personally, I would put when I finished the game, I was so confused and like about how to feel about it. Now I would happily say like this game is competing with Doom for my game of the year right now. I never thought I would say that.
So from what I have experienced so far, I would strongly disagree with you, but equally I do acknowledge that I need to finish the game because like my problems with the battle system and the camera and the AI and that may get better. Like, you know, maybe it's better later on, and don't tell me because I want to find out.
We're probably gonna do like an entire cast, like entire episode dedicated to this game.
But,
we could probably spend 3 hours talking about this.
Yeah. For now, the verdict is like 9 hours in or so. Like, hey, you know what? When it works, it works. But for the most part,
do you think that like if they kind of took what they learned from this game and then just combine it with what they learned about open world in FF15, they could turn this into one of the best Final Fantasy games?
I haven't played FF15.
Oh, you haven't played it? Okay.
But I would say that it would be really good, and I'll have to fully admit, not for me, because again, I fully admit that I am not a fan of action RPGs. Like even if it's like not that big on the action element, just that framing for me as an effect. But I feel like from a objective view, yes, it would be a much better game. And you know, I want to say that just because I don't enjoy this style of, the style of game they've made it. Well, okay, let me rephrase that again. Just because I prefer the classic JRPG format to the style of the game they've made FF7 Remake doesn't mean that is what makes it inherently bad.
Okay.
But okay, yeah. Well, there we go. And yeah, well, we should probably do a full podcast on that.
I would say like I'm gonna. I normally don't do this in games, but outside of like Devil May Cry and like currently like Doom and stuff, I am probably going to do a hard mode playthrough. And I'm probably going to try and aim to 100% this.
Okay.
I took a bit of a break. So what I'll do is I'll play that. Do you think you'll be able to finish the game like by the end of this week?
Probably.
Yeah. It's not...
Actually, no. I've got a lot of assignments. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
A simple yes or no question. You don't play this game on a pro, do you?
No, I'm playing this game on a slim.
Okay, because I would have asked like off cast about what happened, but okay, that's cool. All right.
About what happens?
Just like like how the game handles loading.
Oh, so my brother has a pro.
Yeah.
And
from what I hear, it's the same problem.
All of the same problems are happening on the pro. Yeah. I'd be very interested to see how this game plays on an SSD. Like, because I'm running this game on my external, which is faster than my internal drive. I think it's like my internal one's like 5400, but it was like a cheap 2 terabyte Barracuda. I know that my external is 7200. But whatever limitations that has, I'm not too sure because obviously it's just going in via USB. But that should not even max out the speed of the USB port. That's how slow hard drives are. So I'll be interested to see how much an improvement in SSD is. But honestly, we won't even know how like bottlenecked this game is until we get it on the PS5, which will be like anywhere from like 6 months to a year, depending on like how supply is and like whether they actually release a console this year, like they've been saying they are.
Okay.
Oh,
well,
one thing though.
Yeah.
What do you think of War Market?
Okay, I've been there for like 5-10 minutes because I took a break.
What was your initial like impressions?
I was like, yeah,
this place is cool. This is like, this is like
how I loved War Market in the original. I love it now, and I really love the obviously it's a Japanese game, but there's real elements of like Harajuku and Shibuya, like, and I like that.
It feels alive, and it shows that there is like real like craftsmanship going on over at Square. They still have this like that I feel like hasn't been in games for a while. That hasn't been in their games, that they can actually put something out of this quality.
For me, Final Fantasy died like at 13.
For me, the last one was 12.
I don't count. So what I mean by that is
MMOs don't count.
Yeah, MMOs don't count, and I believe that like the trend of quote unquote bad Final Fantasy games started with 13. However,
the argument could be made with 8.
Well, no, I would say even if 8 was bad, like I haven't played 9, and I only comment on games I actually played. 10 was good. Like it wasn't my hit, but it was good, and I hear 9 is good. However, again, disclaimer: I haven't played them. I played an hour of 13 too, and I just couldn't keep going. I hear Lightning Returns is good, but we'll have to see. And 15, I never hear good things about.
The only person that likes 15 is my little brother.
Oh,
and a few of my friends.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
But we digress.
Yeah.
But anything else you've been playing? Like obviously I've been playing that and a bit of Dragon Ball FighterZ, but what have you been playing?
So I've been like getting back into MMOs, like as you know. So it's just been Final Fantasy 14, like that was on sale. I'd only played the starter trial of that, and I played WoW before. I mean, how long did I play WoW? I think I played WoW for like 100 hours or so, or like 150 hours. I didn't really get into it that deep. But
Angus.
Yeah, Angus the Tauren. The thing is with... I really, really want to get into FF14.
Yeah.
But my initial, like, when I bought that game, and then I found out I couldn't use my Steam profile and my account, and I had to use a different email address, and then it took me like an hour to even try to understand how to use these websites. It just triggered a part in my brain that I had not used in a while, and that was navigating the way how the Japanese think the internet works.
It's not got a very good online user layout.
So like,
I never suffered from that though, because
you gotta understand, like I've been ordering like Japanese like figures and stuff for a while now. Like I stopped for like 2 years. And I had another moment like that. Like 2-3 days ago when my pre-order for a Figure Arts, which is like a Dragon Ball figure, whatever. They asked for the payment, which you put the pre-order in, but it's like it's like how old school game orders would work, where you don't even put down a deposit. You just say, "I'm ordering this," or like how comics orders works in like comic shops. I tried to do the payment, but it just refused to do it, and then it refused to log me in, and then the website would take literal minutes to load. It was ridiculous how long it was taking me to pay for this thing. And then, like, it's just so strange. I don't understand how they have... And it's always so obvious when it's a Japanese designed webpage, where it's like, everything is either off to one side because it's been designed for a 4:3 monitor, or like, like everything is in the middle, but it's in a really small box because it's designed for a really small monitor, for a really small resolution.
Korean websites, with the exception of Korean video games, because obviously they are with the times, but Korean websites are much the same. They are fucking horrible to navigate.
And it's not even a case of like, oh, well, they're just being limited by their old hardware. Like, no, I know they've got new stuff. This is just how they've always done it.
Like, yo, bro, this is Japan.
Yeah.
They've got it. They just don't want to use it.
They don't want to use it.
They use PC for visual novels, and well, FF14 like is on console, and I haven't got the numbers, but I wouldn't be surprised.
The majority of people in Japan play it on console. Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised. Like,
well, the fact is, you can hook up a mouse and keyboard to that game. It's basically the PC version. No, obviously it's not the PC version because you can't play it at a good frame rate, I'm guessing, and it probably looks awful. But I mean, it doesn't matter to them. Like they've got their. I
played it. I played on the PS4. It's not bad. It's actually not bad.
Well, you got to understand. Like I'm playing the game at 1440p at 140 hertz. Like
but like you're accustomed to a higher standard of living than us lowly, 60 FPS, like peasants. So for us,
but like
from 40 to 60 is perfect.
Oh, 40 to 60. Oh my god. Like, dude.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll probably do some leveling later, won't we?
Yeah, we'll have to. I've been meaning to do it. Like, I'm more like level 11 or something.
Yeah.
Other games I've been playing, Animal Crossing, obviously.
Yeah. I don't understand. I never will.
Made a sweet 2.5 mil on my turnips.
Cool. How much money you made in real life, man?
How much?
How much money you made in real life?
Listen, man, I don't want to talk about it. Things are hard. Things are hard.
Yeah, things are hard, and man's ordering like figure arts and stuff. Yeah.
Shut up. At this point, it's free money.
True say.
It's free money. Listen, dude, I want to go back to work. I'm not even joking. Yeah. I want to go back to work. I feel like I haven't left my house in weeks, which is both true.
I just go on the decking every day and like tend to my plants, but. Well, as you know, actually, this is worth talking about. I have been in a rut with fighting games. Like the whole balance between fun and being good and or just like ability to get good. And I was playing fighters the other day because I watched a clip of Majin Buu. Yeah, I'm like, I Buu hate you, that shit. And I've always liked Majin Buu from the moment I picked up the game, and so I changed the game's language options back to English. And I just jumped in to online casual matches of Majin Buu, Hit, and Yamcha. That's not a good team. Like, let's not shout ourselves. But
it's not the best. I mean, Yamcha's the best character there. I
was just playing just to play Majin Buu and have fun. And honestly, I enjoyed it way more than I have in since I got it playing properly, quote unquote, because I actually uninstalled Dragon Ball FighterZ during my run. I was like, I'm not having any fun playing this game whatsoever. Like the people I play with online and like the people I play with, like you and Max and Mouse, like I'm not on the same wavelength as they are. As I don't enjoy the game enough to learn like these setups and mix-ups and whatever. And all I do is lose, and it's not fun. So I deleted it, and I felt really shit. And then just by chance, I happened to install it again and just play it for fun, which is something I have real trouble doing, by the way. I was like, yeah, you know what? That's good. And I feel like I hit a personal kind of milestone where I can just play a game for fun now, without having to be like fucking, oh man, I've got to be the best. Got to learn this fuzzy. Got to learn this mix-up. Got to learn this, 500,000 million hit TAC infinite. So that was interesting, and we actually played a bit, with me and my Majin Buu team, and I enjoyed it. It was really fun.
See, that's what you need to do. Like, just play for fun, man. Like, don't go for this like.
Dragon Ball's a bad game for that though, because like Capcom versus SNK2, if you don't know how to play the game, you don't play. And
it becomes a one-player game. Like,
and this is like these are scrub words, but I don't mean it in that way. But like the reason I probably had more fun playing you that time we played is because you hadn't slept for the entire night. And
true, very sleep deprived. Yeah,
it doesn't matter. I had fun, but Dragon Ball is a bad game to have fun in if you don't know it. Well, if you're not playing
somebody of your skill level.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you can fucking and you'll be fine. But
yeah,
Dragon Ball. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's that. So I've been playing a lot of games, but I think I will focus on FF7 from now on.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to finish.
Okay. So something I wanted to talk to you about, um, something that I noticed that is a conversation in like other games, well, other kinds of games. Something that I never thought would happen. Um, is the issue of crossplay and what people used to play games with. So in Fortnite, the aim assist in Fortnite. So if you're using a controller, the aim assist obviously kicks in. That is apparently so good in that game that controller players have been dominating the scene. Now, let me like build up upon this. So I was speaking to Max, and he used to play Fortnite, not quite a lot, but like more than me.
I don't know. He played it a lot.
He played it a lot, but
sweaty Fortnite gamer.
So I asked him about this, right? And yeah, as it turns out, what people would do is they'd plug in a controller, and then they would switch their controller and just spam like L2 or like the aim button to snap onto people because of how aggressive this auto aim is. And then they would switch to their mouse and keyboard when they have to build. And then there's another thing that's happening in Call of Duty, like in Warzone and Modern Warfare, where people are turning off crossplay on console to stop PC players because the PC players are cheating, apparently, to try and curb cheaters.
This is interesting. We have the Fortnite example where the console players have the edge, but if you think back to when CS:GO came out and that was crossplay,
no, it wasn't.
Wait, didn't you say that?
That was a very big like. I understand why you say that because the game was initially advertised as being crossplay.
That's the one
with PC and PS3, I think.
From what I understand, and you can correct me, wasn't the argument that crossplay would mean that the PC players would just destroy the console players?
Yeah,
wasn't that the argument?
Yeah, because this is why, like, me hearing about this and me hearing this argument when I am still kind of operating under the mindset of like Shadowrun. Do you remember that for the free? Okay, Shadowrun, which is a big crossplay with games for Windows and Xbox.
Oh yes, I remember saying that when I was working at a shop. Yeah.
That was proof that crossplay could work because there was the idea that crossplay could never work, but it was working and it was working fine. And where like loads of games like had experimented with it, but they just would never do it because PC players would dominate unless you gave the console players, or well, not even console players, like controller players, some kind of aimbot, really.
Has this, gone.
And when I see kind of Fortnite players talking about this problem, it seems like it's very split. Where I guess this is a problem with a game like Fortnite, where I'm not gonna lie to you, the community is kind of filled with like 12-year-old kids who don't understand any kind of nuance. Where the game is very clearly built for mouse and keyboard, as with every shooting game. But it's meant to appeal to a mass market. So I can fully understand why Epic, or whatever little team in Epic is working on Fortnite. Oh, I say little team, it's probably at least...
I was going to say, it's probably like the biggest team they have.
Probably the biggest team they have. They probably were like, well, we have to make this work on console, but we gotta have crossplay. So we can't just remove aim assist. And obviously it's a bloom shooter as well. So that, like...
What does that mean? I'm not well acquainted, but...
Essentially... from my understanding of it, it's not like CS where recoil in CS and like the spray pattern in CS is set. A bloom shooter it's random, like it's completely random.
Oh yeah, so I remember Max was teaching me about spray patterns, and if you learn your spray patterns, I don't know what game he was talking about. It's probably if you learn your spray patterns, it gets easier, right?
Yeah, it's probably either CS, right, or Apex. because I think Apex has spray patterns, but I'm not too sure.
It does, and I was actually going to say, I used to play Apex quite rigorously for about 4 months, and I started on PC, and I was doing okay, right? And then I switched to console just because it was my living room, and I was spending more time there, and I was dominating. Like I was destroying people, like
Yeah.
left, right, and center. Now, part of that is because yes, I was stuck on a new console, new calibration, but also I just felt like not only do I have the whole, and you can correct me on this, the PC mindset
It's
and
game.
like
It's game sense. I think it's just
and,
game
and,
sense.
and game sense that PC games give, but also I had that, and I could leverage aim assist. Like
I found that to be the same when I went from playing Modern Warfare on PC and then going to console and playing that. Not the new Modern Warfare, but like two, and even playing it against like Modern Warfare Remastered with my friends, where it's like, hold up, these guys just don't think in the same way that I think. I can't describe it. Like I'm more willing to kind of like not go into a fight and think if he sees me first I'm dead. I'm much more willing to kind of like spin around or like just think of it.
And before we get the calls of why are you promoting PC Master Race, like it's not that, it's just less, it's just we have different ways of thinking because of
the speed of the game.
Yeah,
the speed of the game is totally different. I found that to be most apparent with Rainbow Six. I played Rainbow Six, like, I mean, I played it quite a bit, like 2 years ago. And then, like, my friends, like, got it on PS4, and I thought, well, I might as well get it on PS4, play with them. It was on sale, whatever. I found that the way how these guys are thinking about the game, and not just them, but, like, a lot of the other players, just, like, I know it's not high-ranked, but it's just the general player base. I found that people did not really know how this game works. They were just treating it like it was just a shooting game. They weren't thinking about it in the same ways. So I kind of just stopped playing it how I played it on PC. I just stopped caring about winning. I was just like, what's the point? I'm not being tested here. I'm not being challenged.
That's an interesting like side discussion. The way in which the games, what kind of games we play, RTS, fighting games, strategy, sims. So what kind of games we play and what environment, which here means what console or PC you play on, can affect our kind of game sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Like we talked earlier about how the kind of game that you and I play are very different, and I think that shows in the way we approach games. Like I said I wouldn't talk about it, but this kind of it works. Like in FF7, the side quests, we spoke about that like at another time, and you said you did one, right? You just did one and left it, right? In Sector 7?
No, I said you can. I did all the side quests in that game.
Okay.
On my first playthrough.
Not you and me then. So you and I, having played JRPGs a lot, would just go, yeah, of course I'll do the side quests, right?
Yeah, because I was worried that I was going to miss something.
Yeah, you're going to miss something. And that's the kind of thing we have. Well, I was thinking, I fucking hate the fact that these side quests exist, but I'm just the kind of player who wants to get it done.
Them. Yeah.
I don't want to miss them. Let's say a guy who, again, not dragging this other games, like a guy who grew up playing, I don't know, FIFA and Sims or whatever. Like, there's no real fear of missing out on anything. They would have just gone, I don't want to do these side quests. I want to keep going. Yeah, goes to show. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was really interesting, like reading up on this and kind of seeing the discourse regarding this like whole controller player controversy. And it seems like it's really hurting the game. Because whenever I see footage of it, and like I mean, I would say like anybody listening to this, just go and look for it. Like just search controller player aimbot, and it's insane. Like the game snaps to them. Like I at first thought it was just okay. Maybe it's some people complaining, or maybe that it's like slightly better. No, it's straight up like you could not even be looking at them. Like they can be behind something, or they can be like obscured, and you can just spam L2, and the game will snap to their head.
Apex felt like that as well.
Yeah,
when I was playing. I was like, how am I hitting these guys? Like, yeah.
But yeah, it was very, very, very interesting to look into. Um, yeah, like I don't really know what to say after that. Like, just get rid of controllers, man. Just burn all consoles. Just get rid of them. Just, you know, if you've got a console, just, you know, just end it. Just end that console. Take a hammer.
I think the takeaway is, like, don't give console players
equal rights.
No, don't give console players or PC players. If you want to make a game crossplay,
don't put aim assist in it. Like, just don't.
Don't put things in that are different.
PC players have a huge advantage. So what? Like, this is not a case of, I'm going to put training wheels on one of them because the other method is better. I think it should be a case of, if this game is a competitive game and you're doing PvP, then you have to think, well, do we put training wheels on the other one, or do we gimp the other one? I don't think that should enter the equation. You should make sure
if you're gonna like not pander, but if you're gonna like accommodate people, and I don't know, add an option to turn crossplay off or something, but don't start buffing, like, you know, one faction of players.
It would be even worse, right, if you couldn't use mouse and keyboard on console in Fortnite. But you can.
Could you imagine, like, if like TF2 was crossplay, but like the Xbox and PS3 versions of the game, like, were like they are now, just didn't have the what is it, like, the extra items?
Well, how would that work?
Well, that's the thing, right? It's hypothetical. It wouldn't work, but you know, it's like, oh no, it's console, so they don't get that because of some whatever reason.
What are you saying? Like, I could join an Xbox server or like an Xbox player, but he just wouldn't have the items, but I would.
Hypothetically, I know it wouldn't happen.
Oh, that's just not like that. I think that's a different argument, though, right? Like, that's more so
access to different things.
Yeah, like, what I'm saying is that if everyone has access to the same things, but one of these things is better, but not because of like, because obviously this argument could be applied to, like, just use this character, like, this character's better.
Well, the thing is, I treat access to aim assist as being the same as access to I don't know, the huntsman in TF2, like in this hypothetical example.
You could say, like, it's like, well, everyone can use this, and that would be obviously the counter argument. But I guess it's different because it's not an intentional, like, balance decision to, like, affect the way how the game is played. It's something to allow another control scheme to be able to keep up or surpass the other one. It would be, how can I describe it? It's like, let's say if there's a portion of the player base that wants to use DDR pads, right?
No.
And they are, like, there is no way to play this game with a DDR pad. But the team at Epic, they want people to be able to do this. But the only way to do it is to have a literal aimbot. Like, the game is being played by an AI, right? And they do that. I don't think that's very fair. Everyone can get a DDR pad and everyone can hook it up to their PC or their console or whatever, but it just removes such a huge part of, like, the learning of the game and, like, the skill of the game.
That also adds the question of how much should we have to accommodate for the, in this case, minority, right? Like, you can make the argument.
Controller players are not the minority here, though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So this is why it brings up a new question. So if they started doing that for DDR pads, it would be like, well,
oh, right, okay.
What if the guy wants to play on a fucking, like, you know, driving wheel, you know?
See, I would say it's like a case of how much are you willing to put up with something this game is very clearly not designed for, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, okay, a very good example of this is Overwatch, right? Overwatch on PC and Overwatch on console. Yeah, I know. Overwatch. Oh my god, Overwatch. I love Overwatch. Like, obviously, nobody likes Overwatch, man. Come on. Anyway. Overwatch on PC and Overwatch on console are two completely different games. Right? Like, the way how they're played and the way, like, even the way how they're balanced. Like,
I've always had my suspicions, but... And I'm not naming any names because that would be dumb. But there are some people I know or I know as acquaintances that I know are not very good at, let's just say, Overwatch or games in general on PC. And yet, whenever I hear about them talking about like their league placings in Apex or in Overwatch, it's always like they're always like at least 2 ranks above, or maybe even higher.
Then they should be.
Well, no, it should be like then they would be in the PC version. So there's one guy I know who is bronze, like silver, and yet on console he's platinum, and I'm like,
what?
I'm
Really?
Like, it doesn't make sense to me, and yeah, it just makes me wonder.
That's insane.
But we might get a bit of flack. Well, I might get a bit of flack for this, but console players are generally more casual about games. Like, I think I don't think anyone would fault me for saying that. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Like the majority are right. They're the bigger majority of quote unquote casual players on consoles and on PC.
Yeah, I think that kind of comes with like the territory though. So like,
so it skews the kind of the skill. Yeah.
So it's like a case of, well, I have spent like a significant amount of money on my gaming machine, my gamer rig, my gamer station, and I'm pouring more and more and more money into it. Like it seems like every single other minute, just to keep this thing running, and I like doing that, so I am more likely to take my game seriously. Like, while somebody is playing like Rainbow Six on a console and they don't even use headphones. You know? But my point with Overwatch was going to be like, correct me if I'm wrong, all I know about Overwatch console is that they like buffed Torbjorn or something. Or no, they nerfed him, sorry. They nerfed his turret or something in the console version. And I was like, hold on, Torbjorn isn't good. And they were like, and console players were like, oh, he's good. Or Bastion is another one, or like
I don't think he was good in the console one. It was just he was more exploitable
because
in that one,
people couldn't
it didn't matter for the better players, but for again the greater pool of casual players comparative to PC, it was a problem, and it was damaging game health from what I remember.
Right. What about like when people were saying that McCree wasn't very good in the console version?
I wouldn't know. Other than the Torbjorn example, I've never really.
Yeah, like could you imagine McCree being like bad? Like, but he's reliant on you being able to do pinpoint. Like, what about Widowmaker? Could you imagine playing Widowmaker on a controller?
I mean, I honestly don't know.
There's got to be like 1 or 2 people who can do it.
I've never played a competitive shooter on console seriously, unless you count Modern Warfare 2 when I was like 12. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it raises an interesting question, and it's also applicable. Well, it's not really applicable to crossplay for fighting games because
totally different, I would say.
Yeah, for the most part, Street Fighter 5, I think the delay is the same.
Yeah, it's the same. PC and PS4 versions. Jesus, PS4 version and PC versions are basically the same.
And the control schemes are again the same because you either use a pad
fighting games
stick.
Are the only difference between fighting games would just be like, do I have access to PlayStation Plus, or do I have access to like a slightly better version of the game? So like Tekken or like Dragon Ball, where I know that those games have different delays, where like Tekken is closer to the arcade version than the PS4 version is.
Like Marvel 3 on Xbox and PS3, the Xbox version was better, fully better.
Yeah, it was just better in every way. Yeah, or like in a PC, how you have access to like GGPO versions of these games. So like if you're playing like MVC2, does MVC2 on console have GGPO? I think
I don't know, but I know it's not on Fightcade because it's from a different time.
Oh, okay, all right.
Because it came out on a different board to what Fightcade accommodates.
What is Fightcade isn't it CP3?
I don't know the numbers, but it doesn't accommodate Marvel 2.
You can play Third Strike on Fightcade though, right?
Yeah,
same. I'm fairly sure that they were running on the same board.
Well, I remember reading a very, very angry post by the developer saying, "Stop asking Marvel 2, it doesn't work on this." So, well,
Oh, okay. Maybe it's a different kind of emulator.
it probably is.
Maybe the board used like some very specific kind of chip that was only on the MVC2 one, which is very realistic. Yeah, I'll take your word for it. Like I've obviously not really.
I mean, like again, I'm not like anyone. Feel free to just Google it or whatever. But like from what I can remember, yeah. All right. Well, I've got a new story, and it kind of blew up last night, and I was notified today, looking at James Chen's Twitter.
Right. Okay.
So this
I know what this
is between a player called Kero Ceroblast and LTG, Low Tier God. You know, like, okay, so from what I understand, Low Tier God is unsurprisingly very controversial in the community. Being a scrub, like, you know, notwithstanding, he's got very questionable views on quote unquote politically correct things, and he has been known to make very, very inflammatory remarks, probably for, like, you know, his persona, right? But it doesn't make it any better. Anyway, so he's making these remarks, like, you know, there's that one time he called Brody Legs like some kind of freak or whatever, like, and people weren't cool with that. And he's just been making really, really questionable decisions in terms of what he says on stream for a long time, and nothing's happened. But this changed when he called, well, you know, he made transphobic slurs against a player called Cereblast. And I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Because as a result of that, he has now been banned from a lot, if not all, major tournaments for the next year.
But he's banned from events that are not even happening.
Yeah, so
he's banned from Evo. It's not even happening.
So there's that, which is a conversation in and of itself. And then there's kind of the you know, the flip side. So Cereblast, the victim in this scenario, there are allegations, or maybe it's true, but I'm saying allegation because I haven't done the research properly. There are allegations that she, like, or they, let's say they for now, they started, like, kind of like this, you know, targeted campaign to get LTG banned and, you know, call him out. But then it transpired that Cereblast has actually said the N-word in the past, and apparently there was a tweet on her account that she's now deleted. But this also came to light, and similarly to LTG's case, they were you know, banned from Evo, and I want to say Combo Breaker, and, well, a lot of major tournaments. She was also banned from these. So here we see something that permeates the gaming community as a whole, not just the FGC, but a question of the place of political correctness in video games. So people have always had a problem with LTG, again, for all the things you said, and people are clearly, they've got a problem with Cereblast using the N-word. Now, the community seems to be split right now on whether or not Cereblast deserves this ban.
Yeah,
almost universally, everyone thinks LTG is a prick, but there are some people saying so. Cereblast's her explanation was, and I quote, "I grew up being around NYC peeps. I visit my best friend every summer during high school, naturally being accustomed to the racial slur, which is the N-word." And then she says, they say, "I'll try my best to remove this word out of my vocabulary." So we have this big 50-50 split in her Twitter and in the general FGC Twitter sphere, where some people are like, "Yeah, man, you should be banned because you called out LTG for being for being transphobic and racist. So equally, you should be banned for using the N-word." Other people, including major figures in the community, like James Chen, not James Chen, don't quote me on that, have said that no, you know, you shouldn't be banned from tournaments for things you've said in the past and things you don't kind of willfully promote. You know, whereas LTG is consistently going around, like, you know, calling obese people like worthy of death, and, you know,
salad eating.
Yeah. You know, LTG very
diet
openly
dodging.
very openly kind of targets people, whereas
Lord loving.
Anyway, the Cereblast, by comparison, from what I can understand, has used a slur, but it's not targeted. Now, and yet they have received the same treatment as LTG has, as being, which is being banned from most majors to begin with. So that's the story. What do you think?
I would ask for consistency. It's just becoming more and more and more apparent that like loads of people have been saying these words.
Well, the comment that I took note of, where it was like, yeah, but Justin Wong's been saying the word for like
he's been
years,
saying
but no
it
one,
for like a decade, and like there's been clips of like other people in the community saying it, like Flo,
and is Cereblast just like not the scapegoat, but like the initial martyr? Like are they the example that we should follow? But are they the example that we are intended to follow?
Probably, I would say it's probably a big difference in like the way how Twitter handles things. Twitter always looks for like some kind of person to attack, and
social media is
the worst. Twitter just makes me want to just end it every day. Like these guys on Twitter, that's all they do, and they're just constantly clout chasing. I think there's a really big subsection of Twitter that is constantly looking to cancel somebody for no apparent reason. They just are looking to do it, and my personal view on this is that like you shouldn't say the word. Should you be banned from it? Like, I don't know. I don't think you should ban from like tournaments and events and stuff. Like, I don't know. It's probably it's a good idea PR wise from like TOs and stuff
which is huge
to do this because they're being pressured to do it, and I have no like, I don't blame them for banning them, but like there are so many other things that you can ban somebody for. Don't say the word. That just don't say it. But to be honest, like that is a kind of valid excuse if you've been growing up around these people all your life and they all use it and you use it.
That is something that again is a conversation, not just within this example, but as a whole. Well, before we get onto that, Evo actually have it on their code of conduct page where where it says things you do. If you engage in harassing or uncomfortable behavior, and the event organizers can remove or expel you, whatever. So that's their example, but it's almost like, and you can correct me if you don't think it's apt, like marijuana is, drugs are illegal. Well, okay, marijuana is illegal, right?
Right.
The police know people do it, right? It's one thing to smoke up in front.
Smoking it is not illegal. Being in possession of it is.
Okay, so being in possession of it, and which normally doesn't that coincide with smoking it? Because if you're smoking it, you possess it, right?
With intent to sell. I think that's it.
With intent to sell.
Possession in the UK anyway, isn't it? Like possession and then intent to sell are two different things. I'm not too sure. But actually smoking it, so it's not. So if you have smoked it and you are like, they do a drugs test on you and you've been caught smoking it, but you don't have any anymore, then it's not illegal.
Well, let's in this example, like let's just assume that smoking it's illegal. It's almost like smoking up in front of like a police station, and just kind of doing it in your back garden. Like when you're in the public sphere. Going back to the N-word example,
like saying it in private, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. When you're saying it in private, like fair, but when you're in a public sphere, the moment you hit that record button or stream button,
true. Yeah,
it doesn't matter if you've got 1 viewer or 50. That's gonna come and bite you in the ass, and like especially with someone who maybe doesn't present themselves as it, but I think a lot of people see Cereblast as like a Asian trans like figure to look up to.
So, it would also be a case of like you can say this thing and it can be taken out of context, in a sense of like you're not racist. All of your friends know you're not racist. Even like their friends know you're not racist. You could be like 2, 3, 4 times removed in your social circle, and people will know you're not racist. But all it takes is somebody to hear what you said, and they are not a part of that like group that know you're not racist, to think you're a racist. It's why I think you should definitely like watch what you say in public. I do think that like I definitely do think that she shouldn't have said it. However, I don't think that this, not witch hunt, but I don't think that these measures are as like, I don't think they should have been that extreme. Low tier gold though, this dude has been like pretty aggressive and pretty.
The measures are extreme,
toxic for a while,
but they have been done because it's in the public eye now. They can't just like they can't just forget about the mere fact that it's been brought up means that they have to act. They can't not.
I would definitely want consistency though. Like if Justin Wong, and he will not be, I guarantee you. No, I think he should be. Like I don't think you should be, but
you know, let's kind of like, if Justin Wong like put up a video tonight where he says like, you know, the end with like 50 different times, then it's kind of like, then they might have to do something, especially in the backlash of this. But yeah, I think consistency is definitely what we need. But seeing as Sarah Blast is for now the first kind of quote unquote victim of this, it remains to be seen what will happen. Like, you know, who knows? Maybe F-Champ will use the word tonight on stream, and
I have seen a clip of him using it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when like not FFVIIR, Maximilian dude said it. Like, okay, but let's analyze that. Let's analyze that example, right? Like he wasn't using the word to, and bear with me on this, he wasn't using the word to like.
I'm fairly sure that was a slip of the tongue. Like I don't even know if that was like him even using it. That seems like it was just.
But how much backlash did he get? He got so much backlash.
He did, yeah. It's even still like a meme now. Like people still bring it up. It's not hurt him though. He's pulling in like 10k plus viewers every stream.
I don't think it's worth talking about, like, you know, whether you should use the word at all, because that is a bigger argument.
That's a different conversation
than us. And like, I'm not comfortable talking about it. I think it's too complex for me to even tackle. But the thing, I think the thing we need to take from this is, whether people like it or not, this kind of thing is becoming more and more prevalent in our communities, our subcultures, and it looks like they're here to stay. And while that's fine, it should be tempered by consistency. If you're going to bring in political correctness to our subcultures, let's keep them consistent. So let's not forgive some people for saying things and persecute others. So the reason I say this is because I'm not going to quote the source, because I don't feel like I want to promote them. But while I was doing my research for this newspaper, I came across a blog where this particular blogger was pretty much like, he was blasting the left wing, like
newspaper.
No, sorry, not newspaper. Like this blogger, right? Like he was blasting the left wing, and he was pretty much, you're saying like the classic, like. So I need to say this carefully. You know, the caricature of the typical right wing like supporter, right?
He's a YouTube. He's like a YouTube commenter. Like he's just some dude that has like.
Anyway, so this guy was like he is a caricature of a white right winger on his obviously left wing Twitter users, and I could even just kind of go, okay, cool, that's your stance on things, but what he says on this page, the gist of his article is, why are the left bringing in like political correctness into, what's the point? And I was, and that kind of made me think. And he's like, this is a quote that I will kind of read out. He goes, the sooner their communities implode and they're cast out of the industry, the better it will be for every other normal hardcore gamer out there to take back the industry and start enjoying gaming again the way it was meant to be enjoyed. That opens so many questions as to his beliefs.
There is like, whether this the industry was ever like that in the first place is in question. Whenever somebody says like, "Oh, my politics in my video games," like,
I mean, Final Fantasy VII was literally a fucking. Like,
I was going to say that. I was going to. I don't want to bring it back to Final Fantasy VII, but like, nah,
we love
dude.
the game, man.
Final Fantasy VII is literally like Greenpeace. Like these guys. It's about the environment. The whole game is about the environment. Like
Seven is really big on like modern day issues, like like fighting big companies,
inequality.
But even since fucking like Final Fantasy IV, like where you have this like evil kind of military nation that's conquering the world, and like the little guy gets shut down, and then you have moon aliens. That's another thing. These themes and these concepts have been part of our industry since the very beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
And the reason I bring up this particular post is because I feel that if we start like if we start sweeping these issues under the rug, then you're gonna get more and more people like this coming out, because it gives them agency, because this guy is in the minority. But if we don't draw a line in the sand at some point, then it's gonna escalate and escalate until the majority of people in our beloved subcultures and gaming community are going to be chatting shit like this guy in LTG. So that is actually why I brought this news story to your attention, and why I thought we should talk about it. Yeah, so my conclusion is it's good that our subculture, here being the FGC, is starting to notice more sensitive topical issues like use of the N-word and trans and racial hatred, whatever. However, if we're going to start acting on it, then let's have something consistent. That's my conclusion.
Yeah, consistency. That's kind of like the root of it, really.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want one person to be punished and then another person to get off scot-free. I don't think that's fair.
It especially means a lot to me because I have been in the proximity of a similar incident, recently. So it's very fresh.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Cool. Well, what do you think, other than what I've said already?
Regarding this situation specifically?
Yeah, like pretty much what I said, right? Or do you?
Yeah, I don't really disagree with anything you've said. I don't know, man. Like it's a very touchy topic.
Of course, yeah, and that's why we shouldn't, and we probably can't get into the issue of when it's okay to use the word.
It's a different argument. Yeah. One that I'm not really willing to make, to be honest with you.
And that's fair.
What other stuff has happened this week? Other than the usual coronavirus stuff?
So, coronavirus means a lot to me because I have an elderly grandparent and a vulnerable father. So
yeah,
very great risk.
Stay inside, guys.
So yeah, stay indoors. But also on a more personal, like on a more selfish level, I was set to go to Japan this autumn, but it's looking more and more likely that's not going to happen anymore. And I've got this happening to me, and then I see people going out and like protesting their right to be out, and I'm like, technically yes, but practically no. You have a right to be outside, but I don't think that applies when there's a pandemic at large. And the worst thing is, I know people who flaunt this, who think they're who are too arrogant to understand that it's bigger than them, and they go, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I go visit my friend, like because I go at this time. This excuse. It doesn't matter, like I'm not the problem. I'm like, dude, just just no.
Listen, man, it's seriously a case of people need to understand that this isn't a joke. It has caused so many issues with the economy, society at large, and
the reason
loads of people are getting hurt. Like, the announcement of the new Sonic game has been delayed. It's been postponed indefinitely. We don't even know if this announcement's going to happen. It was meant to happen last month. I'm annoyed because I really want to see what the next big fire.
The reason I raise this point is because pardon me, the person in particular I'm thinking of, but not just this person, all the people that I know that, to say, oh, I'm going to go out, do whatever. Most, if not all of these people are smart enough to know, like, they are smart enough, all of them, to recognize that coronavirus has, had big problems for our society, like all the things you just said, economy, whatever, Sonic game release. Like, they know this. Some of them even know people who have suffered from the virus. And yet they are still too arrogant to admit that maybe they are making a difference, but in the wrong way. You don't fucking know. You say, oh, I go out at nighttime to see this one friend, and because I go out at nighttime, I'm not seeing people, and like, I'll be fine. I won't spread it. All right,
but it's not the point. Not the point.
Let's just go with that. Okay, so you walk to your mate's house. I don't know, you just happen to brush your hand on a fucking lamppost that another person's brushed hands on maybe 10 minutes earlier. You don't see them because they think to themselves, hey man, if I go out at nighttime, no one is coming out either. But fact remains, they've done it. So you brush your hands on this lamppost, you get to your mate's house, you open the door, you hang out with your mate, and if you have it, your mate then gets it, right? Your mate then goes, oh shit, man, Jason's, let's say if I did it, Jason's probably not got it, but I can go to Samir's house, it'll be fine, and then I go to your house, and then you get it, and then
you spread it to me. I could be totally asymptomatic, not get sick, and then go spread it to loads of other people. It is the epitome of selfishness. And then I would go on to say that people who don't think this is happening, like specifically what's happening in the States where you have protests. I mean, I saw a report today that was it? What state was it?
Was it Dakota? It started with a D.
I literally had it up. Let me pull it up.
Daytona.
Hold on, let me pull it up. I was looking at it literally an hour ago. Well, essentially what happened was they a week of the protests happening, starting maybe a week and a bit ago, what was it? Kentucky. Yeah, Kentucky reports highest coronavirus infection increase after a week of protests to reopen state. That's the biggest case of getting egg on your face I've seen in a long time. I'm sorry, but you're not helping the situation.
You know what? For the people who are just too stupid to realize because of societal problems, they haven't been educated, and that's an issue with class. For the people who are just too stupid or don't have the agency or the resources to know that they are wrong. It's not even a case of people
I
can always forgive these people.
People being willfully stupid.
I think people who are just too stupid to understand, I don't forgive, but I can almost understand. The people who actively have the resources, who are educated and know, and still flaunt government advice because of stupid shit the government can't control my freedom, or it's my liberty to do what I want, then fuck you guys, man. Fuck you. Seriously, at the risk of kind of spouting a commonly used kind of phrase, it's not just about you.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not just about you. And this sounds really harsh, but for all of these people, I feel like the only thing that will make them realize is if they get it themselves.
See, I would agree with you if this was anything else but a disease. Because if you okay, this is going to be a pretty crazy hypothetical. But let's say suddenly, for no reason at all, loads of people just started getting hit by cars. Nobody knew why. People were just kept getting hit by cars. It just kept happening. Right? Yeah. Now, and then the government says, stay inside because you might get hit by a car. Right? Now, and then people go outside anyway, and they say, you can't tell us to not go outside, and then they get hit by a car. That's fine. However, getting hit by a car isn't contagious, while a disease is. Do you get what I mean? It's like if I can't spread getting hit by a car to somebody. It's over.
Like, there are nanomachines spreading that make you more susceptible to being like,
no, because even then it's like no. There's no don't because then you're trying. Don't just take the hypothetical as it is. Like
the nanomachines, man.
Okay, if you really the cars from Pixar's Cars are in the real world now, and they want to kill people, but they don't go in houses. They only attack people if you go outside, and they're only going to be around for like 6 months. And there's something being built to combat these guys, but they keep getting stronger the more people they hit. That's what this thing is like. But the difference being is that if somebody gets hit by a car, I'll be like, okay, fine, but at least I'm not going to get hit by a car. The problem is that they are getting hit by cars, but they are also getting up after getting hit by a car, and then potentially going to people who will die from being hit by a car. Listen, we're taking this a bit too far. All I'm saying is that you can't spread being hit by a car, but you can spread a disease.
You know what? Look, my conclusion: fucking stay at home, wash your hands, like practice social distancing, and just learn a hobby, man. Like fucking just okay, please. Like I hate to use these like, oh, you know, in World War II they did this, and you're being asked to sit on your sofa, but literally that's what it is. You're literally being asked to sit on your ass at home. Okay,
true.
I get it. That causes different problems, the mental kind, than being like bombed. But you know, when push comes to shove, I think everyone would take this over World War II blitz. You know, blitz, right? Like, I don't even.
Yeah,
think anyone...
I would say at least these people don't have a gun to their head telling them to stay inside.
Which you know what? At this point, seeing all these people, I wouldn't even question.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even. I'd be like, yo, you know what? Please go for it. Like, just do it, man. If these people are that dumb, then just like maybe not put a gun to their head, but like, you know, start taking action.
Yeah, true.
Right? So conclusion:
my freedoms, like
sanitize, socialize, but digitally, yeah, and just pick up the arts, man. Like, you know, make a pan pipe, get some straws, make a pan pipe. You know, you can be like, you know, the Greek god. No, why? No, yeah, come on, man. Like,
make a pan pipe.
Like this issue riles
build
me.
a pillow fort, dude.
Bro, you don't think I want to go outside?
Hey, build yourself a ukulele from a Pringles tube and
you know what?
Some wire.
If you can do that, do it. Like, I'm going insane. You know, my room doesn't even have a fucking window.
It doesn't. You've got a fake window. You've got like
I got a fake window with artificial light.
You've got one of those things that
hole.
Yeah, you got one of those things that doctors put on put their X-ray things on the X-rays on. You got one of them in your room.
I get to go out like to my and I'm blessed to have like a driveway where I've started de-weeding my driveway, like where the cars go. I've started pulling out weeds there. That's just the level of time I want to be out in the sun. I do that. I water my flower pots. I've actually started like hanging my washing on the fucking drying line now, just because I want to be out there. And other than that, I get to go out like once every couple of days for shopping.
Wait, what were you doing with your drying before that?
I was just like drying it inside the house in the drying rack.
Oh, okay.
Just
I don't know. I don't know what I was going to get there. I honestly thought you were just going to say either I don't wash my clothes or I just leave it there to dry. Like,
look, an open message, guys. No, seriously, an open message to like the two people that are listening.
Yeah,
like,
true.
Like, dude, do you not think that I want to go outside and just go see my mates and just, especially now?
Listen, I want a cheeseburger so badly.
Yo, I want KFC.
I want to go get some chicken, man.
Hey, look at it this way: the more you guys fuck around, yeah, and you don't like, you know, just chill in your home and help this crisis abate, the longer it's gonna take for me to get KFC. I had to make do today with some like budget third-party peri-peri chicken, okay, and that made me happy today, but not for long, man.
Yeah, it's not gonna.
You don't want to see hangry Jason. Just fucking wash your hands, man. That's all I gotta say. I'm sorry. Just get me riled up.
See, listen, for anybody that knows me, I love novelty fast food, and we have had 2 months of no novelty fast food. And the first month was first month of this year was everyone just making vegan stuff, which was fine. But we didn't get anything like the double down, and we probably won't for the foreseeable future.
You know what, guys?
And that makes me that makes me sad.
I'm running out of alcohol. Okay? I'm running out of alcohol to put up with this shit. So just relax, okay?
I can't even buy G Fuel, man. They're not shipping G Fuel to the UK.
Fuck a doodle do.
I couldn't listen, man. I couldn't get Nemesis Iced Tea, the official Resident Evil 3 branded G Fuel. I couldn't get that shipped here. Ships only within the US.
On a lighter note, speaking about video game like drinks and shit, when I was a kid, I saw that they made like FF7 potions.
They still make them.
Do they still make them? Oh, yeah, they do at the
that's how
Square Enix.
Yeah, the Square Enix like cafes and stuff in Japan. You can still get them.
So when I was in
something
Japan,
I really like in Final Fantasy VII is that potions are an energy drink.
Yes, that
I love that. I think that is great. Like the vending. Oh, that's so sick.
Well,
sorry, I really like stuff like that. I'm sorry.
No. I think thing is because I was about to kill your dreams, but I'll just shut up. Like, yeah. So when I was in Japan, I wanted to go to the Square Enix cafe, and my friend, shout out to Lance Chu. Like when I was there, I was like, "Hey, can you take me to the Square Enix cafe in Naki?" And she goes, "Yeah, of course. Why not? Yeah." And we go, and like, basically, you need a reservation.
Yeah, because it's going to be fully booked out, right?
Well, yeah, that's what you think. But I went in and I was like, "Oh, I need a reservation." You're allowed to go to the little store area.
Yeah.
And at that point, Octopath Traveler was out, so that's what they're promoting. Live again, by the way.
Yeah.
And I was looking, and I was just standing at the store, and the store was right next to the cafe, and I was like, "Hold the fuck up!" And I spoke to my other friend. I was like, "There's no one there. Like, literally, no one is sitting down in the cafe." And I was like, "Why? Just
is that it? Is
why?
That your story?
Well, it is because like,
did you not even go in? Like, did you not like book a reservation and go to it?
Like literally, the cafe is in the same building as the item shop.
Yeah, I can imagine it's right next. It's like a gift shop. Like you go to the cafe, you have your like chocobo or Moogle or like cloud themed cocktail or coffee or something, and then you go and you go buy and buy a Red 13 plushie. Like that's what you do, right?
Yeah.
It's like an amusement park or like a theater, like a museum exhibition, except it's just a cafe.
It just made me sad that there was clearly like space, but
they probably have the reservations so that they can get the products in, because the product like what probably happens is that the desserts are made outside. Obviously, they're going to be made like at a different place, but they're frozen or whatever, and they're brought in because it's not easy to make like a chocobo ice cream.
Okay, so they're like, I knew this, but
so they probably buy it. So they probably in their reservation they probably ask you what you're going to have.
I knew this, but pretending not to know it made me feel better, and now you just invalidated that. So thanks, man.
Oh, I'm sorry that I'm like providing an explanation for it.
Well, I knew it in the first place, man.
God.
I just don't want to believe it.
Oh my god. Hey,
shit.
Hey, guess what, Jason?
Shut up, man. If you say some smarmy, stupid shit, I'm just gonna disconnect right now. Like, honestly, I'm not playing with you. Like, just think about what you say, because Japan was a big deal for me. So just say something funny, but it better not be at me.
You know when you put a tooth underneath your pillow, and then there's
fuck you, man.
All right. Jason?
For a second there, you believed.
Oh my god. Alright. Gonna have to keep that in. Alright.
For a second there, you believed.
I was like, is he... I was gonna say, it wasn't the tooth fairy, it was actually your mum or your dad or whatever that put that, like, that pound or that coin underneath your pillow. No, I was like, oh, did he really quit? Oh my god, he actually believes in the tooth fairy. Next, it wasn't Santa that got you those presents. when it says Santa or Father Christmas on, you've been a good boy. That was actually your mum.
I think the last year I believed in Santa Claus. Like, I kind of knew that I didn't believe in him, but for me it was kind of like I'd been doing it for 12 years or so, and like
when did you stop believing in Santa Claus?
I don't know. When I was like 12 or 11. I don't like.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe when I was 9. I can't remember. Anyway,
for me, I was like 7.
For like 9 to 12 years or so, like I was kind of like, well, I know he doesn't exist, but if I stop pretending to believe he does, maybe my parents won't get me like gifts anymore. So I was kind of like, yeah, like like in like when you're walking past someone, and you're like, yeah, I'm writing a letter to Santa Claus right now, like just making it really obvious. Because I was thinking, well, what if they don't get it for me? For about, I think I genuinely stopped believing when I was like 7 or 8. But then for the next 4 years, I just kept on going like, yeah, yeah, he exists. I'll write a letter. I'll leave cookies and all that shit. Yeah. Yeah. So there's that for you.
This is a fighting game podcast, by the way.
Well,
no, it's all right. It's all right.
Okay,
listen.
I think it's I think it's become more than that.
Yeah, obviously. This is what our conversations always are. Like, let's read it back. Let's look at something, because there's been no news, man. There's been no developments. The only thing that has happened is that Guilty Gear Strive seems to be this weird mobile game. Like I really want to talk about this. For those of you who don't know, Guilty Gear Strive beta happened. Right? Happened over this weekend, right? So they operated in the same way how they've done Grand Blue and like Dragon Ball, where the game goes up for like 2, 3, 4 hours, then it goes down, then it goes back up. And each of the times are designed for people's different time zones, right?
Mm.
So, beta goes up at like local time here, like at like 4 in the morning, but in the States like 8 o'clock, right? Like Eastern.
Imagine it coming out at like a reasonable time for us Britbongs.
Yeah, but whatever. It doesn't matter because nobody could play. So,
no one could play it.
I'm getting to that. So,
look, dude, like you showed me the way to heaven, and then you kept the keys from me. Like,
no, wait, hold on. Let me finish it. Let me finish the story. So, I don't know if you've seen the new lobby system in Guilty Gear.
Oh no.
So, you know how in like all Arxis games after Guilty Gear Xrd, you have like...
I played Fighters and BB Tag. I played those.
Yeah, so Xrd, Xrd, it was Revelator. They introduced like the weird like little chibi lobby characters that run around. Or did they have it? Did they have that in Persona 4?
Persona 4 Arena, yes. They had a lobby system, or they had like a weird like hub lobby system, like Dragon Ball.
Where you sit down in. Anyway, you have.
Also, in that game, you pick like a data center, like Europe, whatever, and they're all named after Persona stuff. And when you get into one, you sit down at an arcade machine, and someone else comes to the arcade machine and tunes in and plays.
Yeah, because Xrd had that as well. Xrd Sign, but it wasn't like you move a character around. It was you just click on stuff.
In Arena, you move the character around.
Okay, so I digress. They have somehow made that worse and more like clunky. So they have turned it into this like weird 2D pixel art, almost 8-bit.
Let me Google it, man. Hold
yeah,
on.
just look at it. Just look at it. It is insane. This will probably end up being the thumbnail or like the thing for you to look at while you're listening to this. The problem with it is that there was nobody could get into matches. There was a trick to get into a match. So there is no way to just like matchmake, right? You couldn't just sit in the lobby and wait for you to connect to a match. What happens is, this is so ridiculous. You put your sword up, right?
What the fuck am I looking at?
And then somebody has to come and like line up their character and put their sword up and then wait for the game to connect you to. The problem with that is that if somebody runs past you and does the same thing, it can mess it up. So people were trying to figure out, how the hell does this work? And from what I can gather is it just doesn't. Obviously the netcode was awful, because this is going to be an older version of the game that doesn't have the new rollback that they're going to be implementing. And there's loads of other things with this game that I just think are just ridiculous. Not necessarily for me. Soul doing like 40% off of a wild throw is great.
Samir, no. This lobby, no.
It's awful.
Samir, no.
It's such a step down from what they built.
What is this?
These other games. It also doesn't help that the UI looks like a mobile game. Like the actual menus look awful. They just look so weird.
I don't. No.
It's so strange to me because Strive looks amazing. The game itself looks amazing.
I was seriously considering buying it just because
I was as well. But looking at like everything around the game, it's just kind of like, hold up, this looks a little weird. Do they really know what they're doing? And then they put the rollback in, and I was like, oh yeah, great, this is amazing. I'm gonna be able to have a good game, an Arxis game with good netcode, and then all this stuff about the game just starts coming out, and it's like, wait a minute, is this really what they're going to be going for? Like when Guilty Gear, like the combos are really short, or like, you know, characters are getting stupidly high damage off of stuff, or the UI just looks weird, like the health bars. So like, have you seen the health bars in the game?
No, I think it comes to the point where like game developers nowadays have ample opportunities to hear feedback with their beta releases and to fix it. From what I can tell, none of them ever do.
Well, we're still a good 6 months off of the release of this game, man.
No, yeah, but my point is, it just feels like to me it feels like they're not going to do anything about it. Like they're going to keep, like, for whatever reason, some old Japanese fogey at ASW is like, oh no, like, you know, I want this weird 2D lobby sword raising.
The funny thing is, they released a trailer for it on April Fool's Day, so everyone thought it was a joke, and then it wasn't.
The only way this could be like ultimate big brain play is if it does don't say anything, release the game, which would be a horrible marketing decision.
Perfect.
And it's perfect. And they're like, haha, we fucked you guys. And they're like, you know, we knew none of you would buy it anyway, but at least this way we created hype, you know? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
I will end up buying this game though. I know I will. You know me, I like playing fighting games week one. It's always quite fun. But I will hold my reservations until I actually get my hands on it. I didn't get into the beta. I was quite upset by it, but whatever, it's fine. I will buy it. Whatever happens, I'll probably end up buying this game.
It's like how I would have been in FF7. Like, even if like the game just looked horrible, or, like up to the run up, I would have got it anyway.
Yeah.
And well, wait till I finish the game before I give my verdict. All right. Well, I don't know about you, mate, but I'm pretty pooped. Yeah.
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 All right. Well, I mean, we're nearing 2 hours.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Good shout. I think it was nice to kind of branch out into different things. I actually sent you a tweet regarding the thing we we're talking about the FGC and the N word. Read it if you like it. Put it in the comments, in the description, because it's quite relevant to our discussion. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I'll sign off.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. GG, guys. Remember, stay safe and sanitize.
Yeah. Stay home. Don't go outside. Just do what you do normally. Just stay inside all day.
Learn an art. All right. Peace and love, guys. Peace and love.